digging holes to put the strings in, what they call parachutes, to keep the tent down. You're absolutely exhausted within a couple of minutes. The air is that much thinner, even where we were this morning at just over 14,000 feet. And you can hear the wind in the tent.
After 2 days of acclimatization, it's summit day. Mark is finally closing in on his dream to scale North America's highest mountain.
I've been kidding myself all along that, you know, the experience on the mountain is enough and summiting isn't everything, but I really, really want to summit. It's the challenge of this America's expedition.
Lethal weather allowed just 3 summit days in the previous month. It's in the last 8-hour push to the top that sudden storms have killed many an able climber.
I'm always conscious that the weather can change very, very fast, and it's so exposed. There's nowhere to hide if the weather does get bad, and that could be dangerous within minutes.
That's the first sight of the summit. It is really hard just to keep moving up here. The air is so thin. We've only got about another 2 hours to go. I've got no doubts I'll make it.
But Mount McKinley has other ideas. A sudden snowstorm comes out of nowhere to engulf the team. Despite the danger, most of the team, including Mark, make a dash for the summit.
This is the summit. It's too cold and blustery to say anymore. I'll explain later.
The worsening blizzard gave Mark just a few heart-stopping seconds to savour his 20,320-foot climb, one of the greatest ascents on Earth. In the end, Mount McKinley lived up to its reputation.
I don't know what to say. We've been, I suppose I should say, summited Denali, but I'm a bit shell-shocked at the moment. That was one of the scariest experiences of my life.
After 3 weeks of climbing, it takes just 3 days to get back to base camp.
Well done.
Hey, congratulations. Oh, buddy.
What is it, 7:30 in the morning? You ready for breakfast?
Oh, yes. I'm ready for a beer. We're in Talkeetna.
And while the other mountaineers have plenty of time to recover, Mark, who's lost a stone in body weight, has to get back in the saddle and head off alone into the wilds of Alaska. The next leg of Mark's daunting expedition is taking him from Talkeetna and into the Alaskan wilderness, followed by the mountains of Canada's vast Yukon territory. Mark is entering some of the most isolated, beautiful, and unspoilt expanses on the planet. But this great natural wilderness brings its own dangers.
That was my first sighting of a bear, and it was a little bit too close for it. I actually cycled right past it within 2-3 meters of the road before I realized what it was. It was a black bear, so I stopped, got the camera out, but it started looking at me funny, so I wasn't going to hang around. Great, first bear.
Well, I've seen her at midnight, and I'm in awe through the day. I've seen the northern lights, they've danced all night in destruction day.
Pretty horrible first full day in Canada. The Yukon's full of roads which are just gravel for miles and miles, which is really tough going. Every time vehicles go past, you just get pelted with pebbles. To be honest with you, I'm not feeling fantastic. There's just days when you feel pretty rubbish in the bike. The legs are tired. I'm not covering the ground very fast, and yeah, I just need a big night's sleep, I think. I'm going to stop at one of the first places I've seen today. In 80 miles, I've seen one small community, Destruction Bay.
Destruction Bay in the Yukon. Why am I in the Yukon? I hung my head, had lots of dread. The house was froze, I had on the wrong clothes, so I got a fire going while the wind was blowing. Then I fixed me a meal and thought, it's not a bad deal. And I said, well, what the hell? I'll give it a month or two.
The 37 year-round residents of Destruction Bay live in one of the Yukon's most remote communities.
How long have you been here?
16 years. I know. Why did, I don't know. It was just a bad decision, I guess. But I'm still here. Between the bank and the weather and the conditions, and I can't think of anywhere else to go, I'll just stay right here. What the hell? I'm here now. Might as well retire here.
It seems a beautiful spot.
Yeah. So that's what I do. Fix and paint, sell a burger, buy a nail. Sell a burger, buy another nail.
In the wintertime, for over 2 months, we have no sunshine here. We're in the shadow of this mountain. But we look at the lake and we see the sun shining on the other shore. So occasionally, even if it's 50 below, I'll put on 2 pair of coveralls to get my snow machine warmed up, and I'll put out there 5 or 6 miles until I can actually turn around and look up into the sky and face the sun. And I spend 10 minutes there shivering, and then I come back. People don't live in the north if they don't like their solitude.
Got my money, she got my dough. She took my heart and she stole my soul. That city woman. Making a fool.
There's definitely a sense of exploration for me in the fact that, you know, I'm discovering aspects of places and characters which have never been seen because they're just so far off the beaten track.
Mark is now entering the heart of Canada's Yukon Territory. This vast wilderness, population of just 30,000, yet it's twice the size of Great Britain. Mark's used to covering long distances every day, but it's not easy in bear country.
I've stopped because there's a big black bear and 2, if not 3, really young cubs. They're just running around on the roadside. I'm about 50 meters away, and I'm not going to go any closer. A mum with young cubs, that's not to be messed with.
But thinking on his feet, Mark finds a cunning way to give the bears the slip.
Bet that feels nice and safe in there.
He uses a passing vehicle for protection.
Made it. I'm sure they wouldn't be that aggressive, but that's quite scary. It's still within a meter of those big things.
Mark may have avoided a bear attack for now, but he's still got the nights to get through. High risk when camping in a region where your cries for help won't be heard.
My main concern through the whole of Canada and Alaska is bears. I've never camped anywhere where I've got to fend myself against grizzly and black bears, and there's there's many of them up here. There's more bears than there are people. I've got a few defences. If I'm lucky enough to hear them coming and get out the tent in time, then I've got a banger system. This bit shoots off and will explode about a second afterwards. The trick is not to fire that behind the bear, so the explosion scares the bear towards you. My second defence, if I don't have time to get out the tent and I suddenly have a bear incredibly close, then I've got heavy-duty pepper spray. My only defence is I always sleep with my knife beside me. Anytime I'm in a country that has wild animals,
close, I also have that beside me. It's an absolute